Boy story.
But yeah, my youngest daughter was in the was on the Navarre softball team,
Right.
ladies softball team, and I was the announcer. You know, like I said, stay involved. I want my kids to remember me
Really
as
cool.
being involved with their life.
Right.
You know, and so there I was the announcer, and so I would announce, call them, call the students when they're coming up. Okay, so and so coming up to bat, so and so, and then when my daughter was a senior, seniors get to pick their own walk-up song. So my daughter had a particular walk-up song. She said, "Play this, Dad."
Ice
Not
Spice.
a problem. Not a problem. Yeah, but then she knew something was not right. And so when she started to walk up, I just hit the button, and it was the Beastie Boys.
Sabotage.
Sabotage. And she would give me the cross eye, but it was hilarious. It was fun. What she took away from that was, okay, Daddy, even when I'm trying to be serious, he's going to find a way to break me up.
There you go.
That's what Daddy does.
Yeah. I bet it helped her game.
It did, actually. It
Yeah.
did. Quite a few times she was so mad at me, she hit that ball right out of the park.
Even
That's
better.
funny. That's funny.
It's a great motivator.
Oh, yeah.
And what about the band?
I was, when my oldest daughter, Teresa, was in band, I was the announcer. I was the only parent who wanted to get on the microphone.
Really?
As you can tell, I'm not really.
Right.
I'm pretty shy. I
Yeah.
really am pretty shy. But and so I would get on there and I would do that, drawing on my experience from being a disc jockey, FM disc jockey in the 70s. I would try to get that gentle, cool,
Right.
laid back, but it never came out like that. It always came out like Harry Carey. Ladies and gentlemen,
Right.
on behalf of Principal so-and-so and, Superintendent so-and-so, we introduce to you
That's
the
funny.
Navarre High School Marching Raider Band. And the first time I did that, and I, the full throat, everything, just put
Right.
everything you can into it. While I'm saying that, one of the girls in the horn section looked, or kind of said over to Teresa, "Teresa, that's your dad." And she's like, "I know." And so I did that for 4 years with
Nice.
them. And so that was just, and once again, it goes back to being involved in their life.
Yeah.
What are they going to remember when you're gone?
There you go. Great stuff.
Welcome to the Gulf Coast. Welcome to the Gulf Coast. Welcome to the Gulf Coast.
Welcome, guys, to the Gulf Coast Music Channel. Today's new wave, Autumn Poultry.
Well, new wave?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we are.
Yes. Brand new. Up and coming. So you guys dropped a project in 2021
Right.
and recently dropped a single. What happened in that gap?
Well, wow, that's a lot of stuff happened between 21 and last year. So we dropped a CD in 21 that wasn't quite ready to go, but one of our former members wanted to go ahead and push it out. And so he wrote 3 of the songs that are on there. I wrote 4 of the songs that are on our original album. And then we just got busy playing, so we really didn't have a chance to sit down and write and produce anything new.
Gotcha.
And in the interim, he actually ended up moving further south. He was one of the original founding members of the band, Dennis Malonis, and he moved south to Central Florida.
Right.
And in that time, I kind of took it upon myself to do a single album. So I did my own thing.
Gotcha.
I've got 8 songs that I wrote that are on one of the CDs we gave you. And then my wife and I have kind of taken up going to Jamaica every year.
Really cool.
So after the first year, I was kind of inspired by my trip to Jamaica, and I wrote something down. I brought it back to the guys and I said, hey man, let's add our own twist to this
Yeah.
thing, this idea that I have. And then we wrote that one song and released that one.
Gotcha.
Actually, it was released in 24. So, in 24. And yeah, everybody has their own twist and their own thing that they put into it. Rick, who is not with us today because, like we talked about, he's got another commitment. So he did the acoustic jam in the middle of that.
Right. And that's Dreaming of a Holiday?
That is Dreaming of a Holiday. Yeah, it's got a little reggae beat to it.
Yeah.
And all that. And then so David is a natural bass baritone, so he adds that bass voice that you hear in there. And all the percussion, that's JP right here. He added the percussion to that. So we kind of made it happen. We got some harmonizing in there, and a good friend of ours, Doug Bowers, actually recorded and produced that for us in a professional way, and we were able to put that out on all streaming media. It's available. And what we've done lately is we took our original CD, we added a bonus track with a new song on it.
Cool.
And we sell it at our shows because so that's kind of what we do. That's a long story to tell you what happened.
I asked you a long question. Yeah.
Looking to transform your property into something remarkable? Land Refiners is your trusted, locally owned land services company based right here in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whether it's forestry, mulching, land clearing, tree and debris removal, demolition, grading, or even emergency services, Land Refiners has you covered. They work on both residential and commercial properties, bringing efficiency, professionalism, and results that last. Their team is licensed, insured, and proudly serves Baldwin County, Mobile County, and surrounding areas. At Land Refiners, they don't just move dirt, they build lasting relationships by exceeding expectations every time. Call today or visit landrefiners.com to schedule your free consultation. Land Refiners, local, reliable, refined.
Euphoric.
Let's change the subject. I can talk about your looks for days.
Take it off your mind. I could do this all the time. I could lay it on the line, and I could drop it on the dime. Let's go.
For 7 years, I've been shedding tattoo tears. Sideline observing game on the pup list.
Yeah, blessing on all of my haters, that's just what it is. Yeah, to live.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't let the dogs out. The City of Mobile Animal Shelter has many loving pets ready for a nice home. Whether you're looking for a dog like Snoop or a cat like Doja, the City of Mobile Animal Shelter is where you can find your next friendly companion. They're located at 855 Owen Street, and you can stop by anytime between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We all need a little bow wow in our lives. Call 251-208-2800 because the City of Mobile Animal Shelter has you covered. That's 251-208-2800. Roof. Well, what's it like printing CDs? What's that process like?
Well, believe it or not, it's that's something I do at home.
Right.
Now, we could have gone one step further and done the professional pressing and releasing of CDs with a company, but it was more economical for us to just go ahead and do it at home. So I'll just do it off my computer, put it on a CD drive, and burn the CD and
Gotcha.
put a label on it and make it happen. It's way more economical for us to do that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the concept that you guys are putting out CDs. I mean, anything that separates yourselves as a band nowadays, is helpful.
Well, it's kind of weird to just do CDs because everyone just can stream from iTunes or Spotify or whatever and put it on their phone. Not everybody uses CDs, so we have that as an option because, as our name implies, Poultry, we're not spring chickens anymore. So a lot of our audience is folks that still are hanging on to the old technology of CDs. So those are the folks that actually would buy those.
Absolutely. Right? And yeah, when it's a rarity nowadays, to add to your CD collection adds to the emphasis that they might put on that album that you release. It adds to the nostalgia. Really cool. What encouraged the conception of the band?
Oh my, well that's a
It goes back quite a way. So it started off with Dennis Milanis, as Jesse just mentioned, and then
Brian McHale.
It's a little duet.
Those are the original members of the band. Um, Brian was an exceptional musician, and you
What did he
mentioned-
play?
So he played guitar,
Gotcha.
guitar, harmonica, piano.
Wow.
The guy was an exceptional musician, and so he and Dennis did a duet for about 2 or 3 years, and they toured around little coffee shops and whatnot there in Fort Walton. Brian would play guitar and sing. Dennis would play the cajon
Yeah.
and add some vocal harmony.
Right.
And those guys were pretty phenomenal. Unfortunately, Brian developed brain cancer.
Sorry to hear
And
that.
while it was in remission for a while, it came back pretty aggressively, and then it took him. And of course, Dennis was really torn up about that.
I appreciate you for being vulnerable about that.
And so Dennis and I sang together in our church choir.
Right.
So I knew that, and Brian too. So I knew he was hurting and whatnot. And we were also members of the Fort Walton Beach Community Chorus.
Gotcha.
And the community chorus just brings people together to sing, like a choir.
Really cool.
But we were invited to go sing Handel's Messiah at Carnegie Hall in 2016.
Where's Carnegie Hall?
New York City.
Yeah, gotcha,
New York
man.
City.
Really cool.
And so,
Just real quick, Carnegie is like I've learned recently it's a revered last name, it seems.
oh yeah,
Off of
absolutely.
books and
Oh,
media.
absolutely.
Look at the or read up on the architecture of it.
Gotcha.
Everything is acoustically, I guess, transparent. I don't know if that's the
Right.
terminology, but from the way that the building's designed to the fabrics on the seat, I mean,
Dang.
every seat is a perfect.
Did you guys feel it when you walked in?
Oh my God! And walking on stage, and Dennis was right by me, so he sings tenor and I sing bass, and we were like right by each other, and we're like in the front row,
Right.
looking out over Carnegie Hall and looking at the main audience, looking up to the next tier, and then the mezzanine. And you're like, oh my God, we're here. This is crazy. So after a performance that night, we're just having a few drinks, kind of celebrating the event. I asked Dennis, I said, hey man, have you ever thought about resurrecting Autumn Poultry? And he goes, yes, let's do it. So that was November, and by January, I had his complete set list. I'd kind of learned it, and we started getting some shows. And we had a show at a place called Enlightened Studios at Fort Walton Beach. It's gone under, but they allowed bands to come in there and play.
Open mic nights.
And David came out to watch us, and so this place.
So it was just you and Dennis at first.
And it was only me and Dennis.
Right.
Dennis was doing the same cajon thing. I was doing
Right.
the guitar thing, and David.
I had joined the community chorus, and that's where I met you and Dennis.
Right, and he was right, exactly. So he knew both of us, and on stage there just happened to be a bass guitar, and Dennis and
No way.
David says, "Hey, do you guys mind if I join you?" And he joined and started playing bass to whatever we were playing, and he started singing, and we're like, harmony, 3-part harmony, this is beautiful, let's do this. And then one more step is my grandson, who was 16 or 17 at the time, was playing cajon with our church choir. And Dennis says to me, do you think that Dylan would like to play cajon for us? And I'm like, I have to ask his parents, first of all. I can't make that decision for him.
Right.
But I think he'd rather play drums, not just the cajon. And he goes, oh, we can do that. And now we're a 4-piece band.
Dang.
And so my grandson, played drums for us for about a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Really cool.
And then, of course, being a youngster, he decided, well, he wanted to play metal and other things, so he
And you
went
guys
on to
weren't-
something else. Enter JP. JP
Yeah.
came and joined us. It was almost seamless.
Gotcha, man.
And then within about 2 or 3 months after that, Dennis moved south, and we picked up Rick Esquera, and Rick has just been it was again seamless.
Right.
Rick does a lot of solo work,
Right.
so he knew 90% of the songs that we sang, and he was a perfect tenor. It was a great 3-part harmony again.
Right.
Seamless.
Do you find that with age you've got more connections and it's easier to navigate the music industry?
I'm sorry, I don't know that I understand the question.
With age and experience and having met more people along the way, it's easier to navigate the music industry.
Yes and no. It sometimes is difficult getting into venues. I know Jesse does a lot of the legwork and going out and talking with restaurants or bars or
Right.
what have you, and of course dropping our cards. And sometimes we'll get an invite to kind of a tryout, if you will.
Right.
And some invite us back, some never speak to us. It's always weird, but yeah, but then we've also met other band members like Doug Bowers. He's in another band called Duchess, which is phenomenal.
I've heard that name before, Doug Bowers.
Absolutely.
Excellent band.
And then a bunch of other solo artists, Brandon Day.
Meg.
Meg Phillips.
Meg Phillips is fantastic, yeah. And so, it, the experience thing for us, for me personally, came kind of late, because I'm actually late to the music scene. And just being in a band is kind of weird. I can't say that. I was in a band called Rockers for Life for like 11 years, and I was just a rhythm guitarist, and I sang backup. And finally, when Autumn Poultry started taking off, I'm like, well, I can't do both, so I kind of have to leave one behind. And I stuck with Autumn Poultry, and Autumn Poultry took off, and we've had great success. Knock on wood. We've had anywhere from 25 to 45 shows per year over the last 3 years.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool.
I mean, it's and you say experience. Well, we just keep going back to the same venues, and
right.
And I think we're fortunate enough that the customers enjoy the variety of the music that we bring, sprinkled with a couple of original songs in there, right? And that makes it all worth it. Watching people smile or bob their head or sing along is always fun.
That's one of the best things about being a musician.
Right.
Is what you're doing on stage. It can touch people, touch their heart, and that to me that's what it's all fun.
Right.
That's what fun is, and these guys are a riot on stage. They just, we just look at each other and go, "We're going there? Okay, I'm right behind you. Let's do it." And it flows.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy the hell out of this band.
Nice, man. Nice. So we were talking about performing locally. What are some of you guys' favorite spots to perform?
Ooh, that's difficult. I think there's probably 2 or 3 really nice places that we do locally.
Yeah.
I would say AJ's on the Bayou.
Yeah, AJ's is really great.
I mean, you're just by the water, and they have good food, good service. They put up a brand new stage, so that's really cool. Third Planet Brewing in Niceville is a really cool place. They've got AstroTurf right in front. They got little kids running up and down and jumping around and dancing to our music while their parents are drinking beer. And there's a big pavilion right next door. And I mean, it's just a really nice family environment. And
LJ Schooners.
And we enjoy that. The newest place we've been to, LG Schooners is good too. But I'm thinking Eagle's Nest at Blackwater.
Yes.
That was like an unknown thing that's like really cool.
And all these places are near Fort Worth?
Yeah, so the Eagle's Nest at Blackwater is in Crestview. Yeah. It's right off of I-10. Okay, and it's right on the Blackwater golf course.
Yeah.
So they've built a pavilion, and they have live music there, and it's outdoor bar and all that. So you can go into the restaurant, into the golf club, or you can just stay outside and enjoy it. And each time we've been there, it's just been absolute fun. A lot of
they got
good
bonfires out there, and bouncy tents for the kids.
Yeah. And you mentioned LJ Schooners.
Yes,
right?
Schooners is really nice. It's right there you got the whole Blue Water Bay,
Right.
and then the stage is up a ways, but everybody out on the beach can see you,
Right.
and you got people sitting all around you.
Man.
And you know, I've had the joy of having my grandson play percussion for us on a couple of shows, one at LJ Schooner's and one at Third Planet there in Niceville.
Yeah.
And that's been insane to just look over and see your grandson banging away cowbells and wood blocks and snares and everything else, and the world's most loud china cymbal. I gave it to him because when I first started playing it, it was a Christmas gift from my wife and my daughters, and I always put it on the stand, sitting right behind him, and every time I'd hit it, he'd just. But it was a lot of fun. But just so places like that, just the experience of playing,
Right.
and you know, I mean, if I can, I've shared this with them, but when I was in high school, the only thing that kept me in school long enough to actually get a degree or get, you know,
Right.
congratulations, you're 12th grade, now get out of here before you hurt something, was band.
Mm.
And during junior high school and high school, I had two amazing teachers, Mervyn Jones, junior high, and then Steve Henselman, who was my high school band director. Steve took us to the side one time, and he looked at the whole band. He says, "What is a musician's job?" I say, "Okay." And play our instruments. Yeah, but think about it. What are you doing when you're playing your instruments?
You're the source of energy.
You're touching someone's heart.
Right.
So think about it. And he said, think about it this way. You get in a car. You turn on the radio. You're driving around. Suddenly a song comes on that takes you back to a moment in time in your life. That's a bookmark.
Right.
What do the musicians do? Put a bookmark in the pages of people's lives.
Oof.
And that is exactly...
It's deep, huh?
That is exactly what we do, whether it be we're playing one of our own songs or if we're playing a cover song.
Right.
And plus, the fact is, when I get into it, my mind is stepping back to when I first heard that song.
Right. Well, because they say life is, you know, you're writing your book in every moment, and a bookmark is, damn, that's a good metaphor.
Yeah, it's an amazing metaphor.
It's beautiful.
You know, music teachers who teach art and teach music. A lot of people don't understand just how effective and how much of an influence they are.
Is that something you
people.
guys have considered or had done at some point?
Then what? Teach?
Like a music teacher?
I've never taught music, but I have some great music teachers from my past, junior high, high school, really the ones that gave me some of the love for music. I grew up in a music family.
Right.
My mom played piano. My dad, my sister both sing. We would do, you know, family songs at church or what have you. And I just kind of kept on. In college, I was in an a cappella group.
You've got a great voice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
He does. And then just kind of kept it on. I moved down to Florida, of course, joining the community chorus and meeting Jesse, and of course, then being able to be part of Autumn Poultry has been a lot of fun.
Right.
And, so yeah.
Yeah, David's got the voice that melts the girls' hearts. You know.
Yes. Yes, he does.
I know that there's a couple of songs that he does where girls come out to drop the tip.
He knows
Yeah, I'm sure there's some phone numbers in there too.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more about the trip up to Carnegie Hall. Were you nervous in that plane ride?
Well, nervous in the plane ride, no. So what it was is we as a community chorus had about 20 or 25 members that volunteered to go. Now we were part of Carnegie Hall does an invitation to choruses throughout the country. They all come together, and now you got 500 or 600 people that are participating in this chorus. And they take Handel's Messiah, and they have part one and part two. Part two goes on stage first. They sing their thing, and there's a brief intermission. These guys go up into the balconies, and the part two choir comes out. They fill the stage, and they sing. And then at the very end, when we sing the Hallelujah chorus, everybody sings.
Gotcha.
Right? So, so we were tasked with learning part 2 of Handel's Messiah. So the way that works is you go to Carnegie Hall, you practice for a day and a half with the maestro.
Right.
That's actually going to be conducting it, right? So you learn your part and you learn it well. Hopefully we've had a couple of months of practice before that, right? And then you do the performance. So flying up there being nervous, I was not necessarily nervous. Once we got into the practice room, I was like, okay, so I'm here with a bunch of other people that are from other courses. I don't know them.
Yeah.
I'm in the bass section. My buddy Dennis is in the tenor section there across the way. So it was a little nervous. The good news is we learned our parts. And then
I see. So it's you go to different sections like with random strangers.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
so they bring members from other courses and we all meld together, right? And so that
Did you make some friends?
and made it. I did make a couple of friends, yeah. And we were invited back. So in fact, we went back last year. Yeah, we went back last year. And so it probably the biggest thing for me, the biggest nervous part for me was actually stepping on stage.
Right.
Because you step on stage to figure out where you're going to stand, and you have your last rehearsal before the performance, right? And you're walking on stage, and all of a sudden, I'm like, "Holy smokes! There's instruments there." I mean, it's a whole orchestra, but I didn't realize it. And then when you see the immensity of Carnegie Hall, it's like, "Oh my God! I hope I don't screw up." Right now, you got your book with you, so you follow along, but your eyes really need to be on the conductor, on the director, right? The maestro, and.
Wow.
And then when the curtain opened for part 2 for us, and you see it's now standing room only. It's packed. You're like, holy smokes. that was a little nerve wracking. But once you start singing, it's like it just goes.
Man, yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I've never been to like a symphony orchestra like that where it's so organized. How many people do you think there were?
I'm guessing there was probably 600 or 700 people from just gathered from choruses all over the United States, and we had folks from the UK, France, Australia, Canada.
Jeez.
I think there's a couple of people from Japan.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Were you guys always, I know JP was, but were you two always musically inclined growing up?
Yes. Yeah, I was, for sure. Like I said, my parents were very musical. Played piano as a kid, played saxophone.
Yes. Yeah, you did mention that, right?
Then picked up bass guitar in my 20s.
Right.
And kind of been singing ever since I could talk.
Right.
So, yeah, always been a part of my life.
So I grew up in a musical family as well. My oldest uncle on my mom's side he recorded like 96 songs in Spanish. He wrote the vast majority of those. They're actually in the Hispanic library at UCLA. I mean, so that's pretty cool.
Do you know Spanish?
I have. Yeah, I do.
I'll figure.
Yeah. And I had an aunt that recorded, an uncle that recorded, and then my mom recorded as well. And they're all, whenever we get together in family gatherings, my oldest uncle would play the piano. We had an uncle play the guitar, and everybody singing and all that. And I thought I could sing, so as a youngster joining the elementary school choir, I guess the teacher wanted me to sing tenor, and I naturally gravitated to bass. And she goes, "No, don't sing that. No, don't sing that." Third time, "You can't sing." And so that was the end of me singing. I'm like, "What? Teacher told me I can't sing. I guess I'm not going to sing anymore." So,
what was that like? Was it demoralizing, or was it like, I don't care?
Well, it was a little demoralizing, and I was like, well, I guess I can't sing, so I guess I won't. I'll go do something else. figure it out, and I'll do something else. And so I always wanted to play guitar because I had an uncle that played guitar, but I never took it up until I retired from the Air Force. I says, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. This is just too much fun. And so I kind of self-taught. Then I had a buddy that showed me some shortcuts and
Right.
how to do some other things. And next thing you know, I'm playing an acoustic guitar with a church choir.
Right.
And I'm kind of singing under my breath because I know I can't sing. And Niels Poulsen, great guy, God rest his soul. He's walking by and he goes, "We got to put a mic on this guy. This guy can sing." And I'm like, "No, I can't."
Right.
He goes, so that kind of started it. I joined the band Rockers for Life, kind of backing vocals. Niels recruited me to sing with the Fort Walton Beach Community Chorus, and that's kind of where I learned a little bit more about how to read music, how to listen for your partner, how to listen for your part, and all that. And so it's been a great retirement hobby. I love it. It's but I learned the hard way. I learned very late in life.
Right.
And then I realized, oh, maybe I can sing. Maybe that teacher didn't know what she was talking about. Maybe I wish I could find her and look at her and say, "Hey, look,
They give you my album.
I got a CD to prove it."
Right. Or you just kind of hand it to you like, man, this guy's really good. And she's like, oh, give me this. She comes back to you. She's like, man, I love his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story. I love good stories like that.
So I've been doing it for, gosh, I can't believe that. I don't know if you've been retired as long as I have, but I think I've been retired from the Air Force almost as long as I was in. And I was in the Air Force for 26 years, 7 months, and 14 days. But who's counting?
Damn, man. It's funny to hear that there's an Air Force guy that was also like a great singer. It's like usually you think of Air Force or anything military, it's just these brute guys that don't care about the arts, but it's cool to see a renaissance like that.
You would be very surprised.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I carried drumsticks with me for 22 years. And there was no place I ever deployed where I didn't hook up with somebody who brought a guitar,
Really?
an acoustic guitar or something, and I'd find trash cans, put them together, and I'd have a drum set.
Yeah.
And we would just jam, and next thing you know, somebody else breaks out a harmonica.
Yeah.
And it just, it's music it's in the human soul.
Right.
Okay. From the beginning, we were screaming, yelling, hollering, and we figured out, okay, maybe we can, if you yell this way and I yell this way, it actually sounds good.
Right.
And then there's some guy with two brontosaurus bones beating on logs and stuff.
This cave has great acoustics.
Bingo. And so it's been with humanity for forever. It's just one of the ways we express ourselves.
So, Jimi Hendrix was in the Air Force.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, it doesn't top that. Does it? Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. You mentioned that you're retired. Being kind of, I don't want to say frivolous, that's not the right word, but you're able to kind of enjoy spending money towards the music more than somebody who's saving up, and I'd assume at least. I guess just kind of elaborate on how you diversify your spending with providing merchandise or going on anything with regards to music. Like I'm making this question a little drawn out, but if I'm retired and playing music, and I'd go all out with it. I'd like you did. Spend money on merch, go on tour. Have fun with the money and playing music.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But I think one of the benefits of being retired is that, and my wife tells me this: we're a one income family. What are you doing? But I actually, thank goodness, we have the money to contribute to equipment,
Right.
right, and then together we decided we probably need a better PA system. So we've kind of used the money from our shows
Right.
and reinvested that into a PA and microphones and wireless stuff and in-ear monitors and all the things, all the upgrades that makes a band look and sound more professional. Right. And so initial investment was like, yeah, that was more of my own money. I think everybody brought their own.
We each had our own equipment.
Everybody had their own equipment. Everybody has their own microphones.
Right.
Everybody has their own cables.
Right.
And so we pooled our resources. But once we started making money, and I'll be honest with you, we're nowhere in where I'd like to be, which is 6-7 figures. It's a dream. It's a dream. It's not going to happen in Fort Walton Beach.
Right.
But I think we're our work is steady, and we're able to invest and into merch and stuff like that. So it works out.
Yeah.
Well, I would think a lot of musicians would look at it from a perspective of you don't do it to get rich per se.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people obviously break out and become famous, but that's not really what we're trying to do. Because we enjoy making music and kind of as JP talked about, putting that bookmark in someone's life. Music's like the universal language. Everybody, it touches somebody somehow.
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly.
And so for us, it's just to be able to have the freedoms to be able to go and the abilities to be able to go to these different venues and play music. And, and some people, like it, and some people are just, doing whatever they're doing, they're eating or drinking or just what have you. And we're just kind of background music, but I hope this comes across the right way. We do it more for ourselves. Than necessarily for whoever's out there. I mean, we want to entertain them.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're just having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And getting a little bit of money for it, all the better.
And I think the better you do it for yourselves, the more appreciated it is from the audience.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really is.
And every once in a while, and happens quite often, is you'll see someone that comes out, drops something in the bucket, and kind of gives us the thumbs up, or during one of the breaks, we'll walk around and goes, "Hey man, I'm really glad you guys played this song. You really surprised me by doing that, but I hadn't heard that song in whatever. It's their story. It's part of them. We touched them, and that's. I totally agree that's one of the reasons we do it is just because we love music and we like making people happy.
Right.
Right. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that feeling.
That somebody is out there dancing, or they're singing, or they're smiling because of something you just did.
Yeah.
Once again, you're touching their life.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's and if I could just put this out there, I was invited to do a solo thing at a elementary school, and I was in the library, and I'm doing my own thing, and I'm like, people are milling around, eating cookies and doing whatever, and I'm like, okay, and I just mentioned, hey, I'm gonna throw one of my solo songs out there that's on my album, right? And I sang it, and that was gonna be the last song of the set. Like, okay, thanks a lot, had a good time, see you guys. They're all milling around. No one's really paying attention, except for this one teacher. She came up to me and says, "The words of your song brought me back to my childhood and made me cry." She had tears on her eyes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah. So, that's so. You don't do it for the money. You do it for the connection with people, right? And I love the analogy of the bookmark. That's just that's perfect. That's it, right?
And my daughter, my oldest daughter, Teresa, was in band. She played 5 different instruments and sang. I don't know where she got the talent from, but she did. And I sat with her horn section one time, and I relayed what I told you about the bookmark, and it touched them,
right?
And because they were like, "Wow, is that what I do? Yeah, that's what you do. That's the reason why you practice. That's the reason why you you want to reach out and you want to touch somebody, even if it's for a moment. Somebody could show up and just had the absolutely crappiest day,
Right.
and just give me a beer. And then you play a song that goes to them,
Right.
that speaks to them. And just for that few minutes, they're not in that crappy day.
Right.
They're somewhere else. They're somewhere happy. You've improved their life. What else can you ask for?
Have you guys ever done street performances?
We've been on the street.
We've been on a float.
We actually in the
Couple parades. The last 2 years,
Couple of-
except this year, but 2 years prior.
Billy Bowlegs Festival in Fort Walton.
They
have a
parades?
parade.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so we had mentioned a couple of years ago when we were playing at a show, and one of the 103 right, or 100.3
K-Rock.
K-Rock. They their DJ was there talking to us, and said, somebody brought up, it may have been me, brought up, just throw the band on the back of a flatbed and let's go to the parade. And he said, "You guys want to do that?" I said, "Why not?" So we threw a couple of generators in the back of a truck. We threw the band on a float, and we were playing and just playing songs. Doobie Brothers, listen to the music.
Yeah.
I mean, how much better could you get?
Right.
Just playing the Doobie Brothers, listen to the music while you're passing down, and people are singing, they're throwing beads, they're having a great time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sitting there playing, looking over, and these kids and adults are just like, yeah, listen to the music. Oh. And I'm just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Nobody else is doing this.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
And we did it. We did it 2 years in a row.
That's $1 million idea.
I just
had fun.
I just had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So doing things like that, that's the closest we've been to street performing.
I think there was one year.
That's subway surfing.
That's it.
But no kidding. I mean, the way start and stop was going. We were surfing. Yeah,
Right.
I was fortunate. I wound up bungee cording every piece of my drum kit to the float we were on. Both years.
That's really smart. I mean, one wrong stop and that China symbol.
Boom!
Yeah, we need to get rid of that one. I'm glad you gave it to your grandson. I think it's a couple of years ago we did a driveway show at my house.
Yeah.
That was probably, 3-4 years ago. And just neighborhood came out and had a good old time. But that's about the only street performance we've done besides being on the parade.
Yeah. Or even during 2020, during all the COVID stuff, we would, when it was Dennis and Jesse and Dylan and I, we'd gather at Dennis's house and we'd live stream a couple hours of us just playing, singing, and that was a lot of fun. Just kind of keeping the music going, and friends and family, log in on Facebook and watch us. That was a lot of fun. My daughter was in college at the time, and she would come and sing with us. She since graduated and with a vocal performance degree. So
really cool.
Usually she went during the summertime. She'll come up, and the guys are real gracious and letting her sing a couple songs with us. And
the girl's got a set of pipes.
Yeah, she does.
She's got a set of pipes. Yeah. She is very good at singing.
It's fun to be able to sing with Megan.
Yeah.
And all. But yeah.
Yeah, she's got good blood.
There you go.
She's way better.
Where does the name Autumn Poultry come from?
Oh my goodness! Well, that's
maybe did I already ask that?
No, you hadn't.
I feel like I might have.
You kind of implied the question, but you really didn't ask it. You said you wanted to wait for the
Okay, gotcha.
So it's really the brainchild of Brian McMahon, one of the original founding members, and he just, I guess he and Dennis were just tossing some things around, and I don't know, we got to get a name because we just can't go out there and be Brian and Dennis. He goes, we're just a bunch of old farts. We're not spring chickens anymore. And then I guess it clicked. Oh, Autumn Poultry, because we're not spring chickens anymore. And that's, that became it. The emblem that's on there, the two chickens, in the color version, you'll see that this guy's got red hair. Well, Brian Brian was a redhead, kind of guy. And this guy's just got a microphone because he's not playing guitar. This guy is.
Yeah.
The image itself was designed and drawn by Dennis's son.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's a really cool hat.
That's kind of where that came from.
Yeah.
So, and then when Dennis left, he just handed me the rights. He goes, "Hey man, just take it, do what you can with it." We started making a name, but you guys keep it going. And I'm like, all right. So we thought about changing the name, but I guess at this point, we're 5 years into it. It's like, why change? I think people recognize the name, and
Plus, it's fun seeing the expression when you explain Autumn Poultry.
when you explain it, then they'll go, "Oh, I get it."
Spring chicken. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's a great concept. It's again, it's super cool that you guys are doing this in a stage in your life when maybe others are less concerned about getting up and going after it, and they want to see their family. It's not that you guys don't want to see, but like that, I'm sure your families are really proud of you, and man, yeah, I envy that and aspire to do the same thing at some point.
Well, thank you. I think they're some of our biggest cheerleaders, really.
Yeah.
They try to come to as many shows as they can, and it's like, man, it's just good to see them in the audience, and then they bring their friends, and they bring their friends,
Right.
and they bring their friends. It's like, yes.
Yeah, and even in being able to involve grandkids and daughters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
For sure, for sure.
That's like with the kids and stuff.
Right.
What do I want them to remember me as?
Right.
Was Grandpa the guy who was sitting there in his lounging chair
Pass a
with
beer.
a beer,
Yeah.
watching softball or watching baseball on TV?
Right.
Or was he the one that was on stage and dragging the grandson on stage? Was he the one in the stands yelling and screaming at the ump because the ump made a bad call, according to him?
Right.
That's me. That's what I want my grandkids to remember. That's what I want them to remember. As I'm called Joppy, Grandpa Joppy just wants them to know and wants them to remember him as someone who was involved in their life, who showed consideration for what they were going through.
Yeah.
And if that's all they remember me for, being on stage and being the one yelling at the ump and almost getting kicked out of the game by the ump, then I'm good. I've done my job. Thank you, Lord. I got to do it.
Those are really wise words.
His grandkids are running around saying, "My grandpa's cooler than yours."
Right. Right. My grandpa could beat you in a race.
Yeah, but that's just the way it is. That's how I feel it. That's how I look at it. And being with these guys, it was. I joined the band what 2.5 years ago when Dylan left to go to college, and I had known him in the Air Force, worked for him.
Right.
And it was a moment in my life where I needed something.
Right.
Because I was a contractor, DOD contractor, and all I had was the job and the home. There was nothing else outside of it. And I'd been trying to put bands together in the area between Gulf Breeze and Navarre for a couple of years, and I'd finally gotten sick of it, and I just said, okay, never mind. I'm just going to put my drum set on Facebook Marketplace and be done with it. And my daughter came out. She said, "Daddy, hold off." And I said, "Lord, it's up to you if you want me to keep. I think you gave me some talent, but
right,
what's going to happen?" And then the very next day, he called me and said, "Hey, listen, the community chorus needs a drummer. You still play drums?" I said, "Yeah, I still play." And then I got into the community chorus, and we were doing for a Christmas show. And then he said, "Hey, by the way, Dylan's going to college. You want to sit in?"
So he was really using the community chorus as a tryout.
I am not going to cast aspersions upon the gentleman's However, comma, it worked.
It worked.
I got in the band, and after about 4 or 5 months, my daughters and my wife both said, "Boy, you have really changed. 6 months ago, you were a jerk, and now you're not so much of a jerk." And I'm like, "Thank you." I think.
Crazy how that works.
Yeah. So, and just playing with these guys. I mean,
Right.
we've Dave and I, bass
Right.
player and drummer, we set the floor.
Right.
The rest of the band
Yeah.
sets all the other stuff. We just set the foundation, and we've gotten to the point where we can just look at each other and, JP, you're going too fast.
Right.
Dave, do a double.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What's the chemistry like? How do you guys criticize
fun.
or compliment each other?
It's fun.
I think that there's a really good chemistry between all four of us.
Right.
Everyone has an opportunity to speak their mind and have a suggestion on whether a cover song we're going to do is going to work or not work. If a cover song is one that's going to work, how do we put our spin on it? How do we make it work? So everybody has an opportunity to say something. Rick will say, "How about if I put this in here? Or I play the intro like this," and JP will say, "Well, I can do this beat," and so we can start, and then we start working on the vocal part. Okay, who's going to sing this? Because any one of us could sing it, right? And we decide on, okay, David's going to sing it. Okay, David's going to sing it. Then Rick and I have to harmonize. Let's find our voices. So we'll work it out together, and it seems to work. And when we're on stage, JP said the same thing. I mean, just a look, and we'll know whether we're on time, if we're tight, if we're we need to extend the song or do whatever. We just and that is probably the coolest thing about being tight with a band,
Right.
that you can just look at each other, and with a look, what's next. Whether what you're supposed to do, and that's the connection that I think we've built, and it's awesome, really.
There's been a couple of times when songs we've been doing, people come out on the dance floor and they'll just look back, and we know, okay, we're going to extend it. We're going to go back and we're going to extend it. And we're going to drag it out because these people want to dance.
Yeah.
And what are we there for? We're there to touch their lives. If that means taking the song longer so they can have more time to dance,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
But even the constructive criticism, obviously, when you're trying to mix voices and instruments and all that, because Jesse and I, we hear the same part. 'Cause we're both baritone bassists.
Yeah.
And so invariably, I'm either singing what he's singing or he's singing what I'm singing. And so
We're not supposed to.
so we're trying to, okay, Jesse, you pick that part and I'll find something over here, or vice versa. But just being able to pick on each other and offer that constructive criticism, whether it's a rhythm, maybe, hey, can you try this with your instrument versus what you were doing, or working on a timing situation. We've had issues with like maybe the song's too fast, and so
Right.
trying to figure out, okay, well, where are we speeding it up?
Yeah.
And but just being able to communicate and no egos. I mean, we're just there to have fun. So
So here the other day with that solo,
yeah,
I'm like, why are you guys coming in so slow? I haven't finished my solo yet. And we're like, well, let's count it out. And David actually, we need to extend one more measure. Okay, give us 4. And it clicked.
Yeah.
And it's like we were pointing fingers. Nobody was
Yeah.
upset about it. We just needed to figure it out, and that's how we work.
You guys are really wise when it comes to music as a craft. I mean, y'all are pointing out things that nobody's pointed out on the podcast about how, you're a baritone, he's a baritone, and balancing that or anything. Are there elements of how music has shifted that you guys feel that you might lack in your creative process, that like you've seen new genres or new musicians tap into that you're like, man, I just can't get behind that. It's too confusing. Or are you guys just like content with where you're at? And
That's a good question. Probably a little bit of both. I mean, I'm the youngest guy at 51 in the band, so I mean, what we grew up with is 70s, 80s, 60s. So that's the stuff that we know and we love. Of course, Rick and Jesse both have solo careers as well, and they have gotten some of the newer songs, newer country songs, newer like Jelly Rolls, some of the newer pop songs.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we've integrated those into our set list as well. So we try to have a good mix of classic rock, new songs, some country, and everything.
Really cool.
But we also realize that some songs we just can't play.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just not that good at, on the bass or the guitar or the drums or what have you. Just kind of knowing our limitations. Or, as Jesse commented, how do we make this our own? I know I can't play it like the original artist did. I'm no Flea on the bass guitar.
Yeah.
So how can we still enjoy the song and get the point across without fully doing a cover, kind of making it our own?
Right. Or like you just won't play a certain song because it's just like not your cup of tea. It might be a mainstream that, but it's just like I guess that's what I was getting at is, they use some elements of today's
like auto tune and all that stuff. It's like, I can't get behind that.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. We really appreciate real voices, right? Without harmonizers or anything. It's like it's our voice. We're doing it.
Yeah.
And, there's no backing track. It's us, and that's really what I like. I think we could do all classic rock if we wanted to. I think if I had to say what's our niche, it would be yacht rock type of music, soft, easy listening. Because we could do that 3-part harmony that's just so mellow and it blends so well, and I think we know each other so well about that. But we got to mix it up. We can't. We got to. I think our set lists, you'd be surprised, are. I mean, we're doing things from just about every genre you can imagine, except for rap.
JP though.
except for JP. and so. But we do it. We classic rock, soft rock, country, contemporary stuff that we can do, and then we'll toss in a couple of originals. So we've got a wide variety of stuff in our show. It's like we'll start strong, ease it off, do some country, throw in an original, back up to and just kind of keep it going, keep people on a wave, right?
Absolutely, it's a roller coaster.
And no matter who's in the audience, they might love country. They're going to hear a country song that's going to touch them because it's a hit. We know it's a hit, and we'll put our spin on it, and it's like, and they go like, "Wow, that's awesome!"
Fort Walton whiskey,
or we'll give them Delta Connection blues.
Delta Connection blues.
So,
this is a question just as kind of entering my 20s and. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos and whatnot or consulted people, but is there anything in your 20s that you guys wish you would have capitalized on, or if you could tell your younger self in your 20s?
Oh, wow.
How long is this podcast? I've got a list.
Yeah.
I've got a list, and it's not just about music, but about life in general.
Exactly.
And I joined the Air Force. I was 21 years old. And it's after trying to be a college student and realizing, I'm also in bar bands here in Florida. Cause I grew up in Florida, born in Pensacola and raised in Jacksonville, Gainesville, Lake City. And I grew up in the 70s, 16 years old, playing in bar bands and just going around and going around and going around. And some of the things that I wish I had understood back then, or I was, sober enough to figure out things like don't feel that you have to lead the band. It's not just about the drummer with a bunch of other people.
Right.
JP. It's about the whole band.
Right.
Together you can touch people. Yeah, you'll get a solo, but do all the fun stuff with the sticks and stuff when you're on the solo. Otherwise, you're with the band.
Yeah.
I tell myself, slow down.
Yeah.
leave the tequila alone. Yeah. Just
Tequila won't leave you alone.
it kept following me. Yeah, just slow down and try not to get too involved in yourself.
Man, yeah.
Because the fact is, it's not always about you.
Mm.
And in music, in a band, it's about the band and what we can give to the audience.
Absolutely.
Well, if I could tell my 20-year-old self, boy, you need to learn guitar, and you should have started 6 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
because by now I would be an exceptional guitarist, But I'm.
Fuck, man,
yeah. Autumn Poultry would be pretty good if their lead guitarist didn't suck.
Great advice.
It's kind of funny about that though, because we do a couple of Santana songs, and you can actually see Jesse channeling his inner Carlos and just getting into it. And we'll just sit. I'll look over at Dave and go, "He's there. Let's follow."
That's cool. How about you, Dave?
Oh, goodness gracious. I look back at my 20s and I think, wow, Dave, you really had a lot of great opportunities growing up, and you didn't realize it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just keeping your eyes open to opportunities to improve yourself, improve your craft, whatever that craft is. Yep. Whether running a soundboard, sound engineering type of work, podcast, singing, instruments, art, math, whatever it is, just finding ways to improve that craft and then as years go by, look back and think, you know what, that was an amazing opportunity, and look where it brought me now.
Right.
And then continue moving forward. Supporting the arts as best as you can. There's probably, the music and the arts teach kids so much about reading, writing, and math. Because there is all of that in art.
Right.
Whether it's music or drawing, painting.
Right. Science too.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. And so, finding those creative ways, whatever that creative way is for you to express yourself in art, just finding it and enjoying it and building up those talents as best as you can, or finding help to help you with those talents.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
There's so many times when you sit there and you listen to someone talking and you go, I wonder how they could say that better.
Really?
It would touch more people. And you use music, can get a point across.
Right.
That just screaming and yelling doesn't do.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And it's just, the arts teach you about communicating ideas.
Right.
And to support the arts, I thought when I was growing up in high school that, bless their hearts, I loved the football team, and I loved playing on the field and stuff at halftime and stuff. But so many times they'd come in and say, okay, well, the football team can make us money, the band not so much.
Right.
Let's go ahead and take some of their money and give it here, or from the arts programs and stuff to other, not necessarily sports, but other programs. What you're doing is you're taking away from that chance for that kid, that young person, to learn how to communicate. Because what's one of the big problems we have right now? We cannot communicate. And if you can communicate without forcing somebody to go to fist, that would be fantastic.
Right.
Instead of saying, I'm going to hit you, say, let's talk about this. This is how I'm feeling. and use the music.
Right.
Use
Hold on.
the
Let me
art.
grab my guitar.
That's it. Or, you know,
Dun 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 dun.
Right.
Let me sing
You're an
this.
idiot.
Let me sing this song.
I don't know, that,
Back in black.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
As long as it's not the highway to hell.
Right.
Way to hell.
Of course, I do like playing that song. It's a lot of fun.
No, yeah, that's really incredible that you brought that up, because I think just in you bringing that up just now is one of the reasons I got into music as well. Is it's you don't realize it, I guess, or maybe I just didn't, but it was a great way to, you know, I think we all struggle in conversation at times. You leave a conversation like, man, I wish I would have said this and not that. But with music, it's like you have however long to write out what you're going to say and put it into an audio file and say, this is what I intend to say. Take it or leave it. This is me. I think I really appreciate how you hit the nail on the head. You know, that's exactly why I got into music. Is just to say, this is exactly what I want to say. And, you know, no matter if anybody listens to it, I know that this is how I feel, you know. And yeah, that's just looking back to your younger self. I think in this stage of life, you know, I'm speaking for myself, but also for a lot of our audience. It's easy to kind of get lost in the stress, maybe, of like, you know, oh man, whatever I just did yesterday is going to affect the rest of my life and all that stuff. And any positive or I guess negative to that belief, reassurance that you guys might have is really appreciated. So
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think it applies to the question. So Jesse shared a video with us this morning about when you're at a gig, no gig goes perfectly. Something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's equipment,
right,
guitar strings,
right,
mics,
Bass drum pedal going through the bass drum.
yeah, you know, breakers going off. Well, you know,
It happens.
yeah.
It happened.
So you know, whatever it is, and so that you know the analogy of life. You know, you're going through life. Something's going to screw up.
Yep, exactly.
You know, so what do you do with it? You either get mad at it, or you just kind of roll with the punches and make
Try
the best
to
of it.
press
So-
on. In my case, it was like the first time we had played at LJ Schooner's a couple of years ago with them, and I'm sitting there playing, and suddenly I realize, okay, my bass drum isn't working right, and I look down, and the pedal is inside the head. It's going right through the head. So I'm saying, okay. So I start working the floor tom as the bass drum while I'm sitting there, and I'm looking around, and I'm going,
Dave, let's get a break.
and he says, okay. And I say, ooh, wait a minute, I got an idea. And I look over and I go, Bradley, my grandson, say, duct tape in the bag, grab it. And then right as we finish the song, he says, here's your duct tape. I said, great, let's patch this. Boom, boom, boom. So we got through the show.
right.
But the fact is, when things like that happen, it forces you to say, okay, what's my alternatives? What can I do?
Right.
Problem solving in real time.
Yeah. It becomes an episode of Scooby-Doo.
It does. It does.
There you go.
But
So there's
Not too shaggy.
not too shaggy.
not too shaggy.
So there's a couple of things that being an Air Force guy, there's a couple of things that kind of ring in my mind. Is one is no great plan survives contact with the enemy,
And, no show
and number two
survives.
is a plan is something from which to deviate. So as you apply to
Damn.
It's true.
so those two things in your mind as a young person, thinking about life in general, is you can have a great plan for your life, and you should. What are your objectives? Where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years, and how do you get there? And what's the plan to get there? And if things don't happen in the exact sequence that you think they're going to, then that plan is something to deviate, right? The enemy being life. You have a great plan. It's not going to survive contact with the real world because in your mind as a 19, 20-year-old, you think this is going to happen. I'm going to achieve this. I'm going to do this. And then you walk into the real world and it's not going to happen. Well, you can't be discouraged because of that. You have to deviate from your plan. You have to make modifications and change it to finally reach your objective. And one of the things that I've shared with my kids and my grandkids is I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so don't hate me for that. But one of the greatest Cowboys of all time was Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
He went to school in Pensacola, and one of his coaches instilled in him to write on a card what his objectives were for that school year for college and what he wanted to accomplish in his NFL career. And he wrote down these objectives. He had them taped into his locker. So when he opened his locker every day, he'd look, okay, I'm going to be the leading scorer at this high school. And he was.
Right.
I'm going to be the leading scorer in the NFL.
Right.
And he was been as a running back, right?
Yeah.
But he wrote those
So crazy.
objectives down. He wrote them down, and he did everything that he could in his power to meet those objectives. And you know, like every other NFL player, he got hurt.
Right.
He recovered, and he continued. And that's one of those obstacles. You know, things happen. You got to deviate your plan. I can't do it this year, but maybe I'll do it next year.
Right.
Right. So you have to always be flexible to meet your goals. But a lot of young folks don't have goals. They don't have objectives. They don't know where they want to go.
Right.
And I would say, have an objective. You know, do you want to be the best electrician in the world? Do you want to be the best plumber? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be, the next Elon Musk? How do you get there? And lay out your plan and then follow it through.
Yeah.
And it might not go exactly according to your plan, so you might have to modify it and move on.
Yeah.
That would be my advice to young guys.
Right.
You know.
Trust the process, but don't stick too closely to the plan.
Yeah.
But
and
don't
don't be
be-
discouraged if things don't happen the first time. You know, try again. Yeah, keep going.
Well, in your guys' plans, what's next?
Well, you know, it's interesting. We were just talking about that on the way over here. Says maybe we need to do get our creative talents together and start writing some more stuff and maybe release another album, another CD.
That's cool.
And that would be a goal. Now,
I can't wait to play that CD. I've got 2 CDs, maybe 3.
yeah. Well, there's 2 schools of thought. One is you can be a cover band that does some original stuff, or you can be an original band. And you have to separate both.
Right.
Because if you're doing cover band, well, that's why people hire you, because they want to hear all the songs that they know.
Right.
If you're an original band, well, then now you have to really fight the music industry to get visibility, to be booked for all of your original work.
Right.
Right. And so there's a conflict. I like to think that we're happy being a cover band. I think we have enough talent to write more stuff than what we already have. And I think we could put up another album, and if people buy it, great. If they don't, it's for us and our family and our friends. And I think that's the reason I did my solo is that, you know, there's some songs that I wrote that are deeply personal, and I did it for my family. I didn't really do it to promote. I mean, it's out there. I think I've earned a grand total of 83 cents because streaming on Spotify.
More than me.
You gotta get honestly, you gotta get like 20,000 just to make a buck.
Right.
It's insane. Our first album, conversely,
is it hit the $25 mark. We got paid, and now it's on this next iteration. But
It covered a couple of cheeseburgers.
Dude,
in paradise.
and when you got to split it 4 ways, it's like, dude, what do you get? You get a fry.
Right. JP said cheeseburgers in paradise is on your set list.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
We have a couple of Jimmy Buffett songs. I mean, it's Fort Walton Beach.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
let's
got
talk
to.
about that.
So
Not a whole lot. Don't have to go too far to figure that one out.
Right.
So anyway, that's one of our objectives, I think, and to just continue playing and to get more shows as we can, maybe new venues, and I'd love to break into Alabama someplace, Mobile, Orange Beach, someplace I think people would love our sound. It's unique, it's versatile.
Yeah.
You know, we're just hitting every genre that people of songs that people like and people know. All of the country songs that are crossovers, you know, that's stuff that we do. So we might put a little rock spin on it, but you know, it'd be great to be in this area. It's a drive, but
I'll see you guys.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see you guys performing in Mobile and be like, you know, made it over here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. Do you guys, when it comes to like setting aside that time for the creative process, do you guys already have like set days that you intend on rehearsing?
Yeah, we typically practice on Wednesdays.
Right.
Sometimes we move it depending on what's going on, but primarily once a week on Wednesdays, just kind of hitting either fixing songs that we have been doing or adding in some new songs, trying them out, saying, hey, do you think we could do this? Learning some originals. Or like Jesse mentioned, you know, we haven't made a whole lot of time for writing some more originals, but you know, yeah, we'll definitely start working that in.
Really cool. Well, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, and yeah, let's put Fort Walton and Orange Beach on the map together.
Yes, that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
Yes, sir.
Love to do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Gulf Coast Music Podcast. You guys can catch Autumn Poultry in Fort Walton right now, and yeah, pretty soon they'll be in Mobile. So we'll see you guys in the next one.
I appreciate it. Hey,
Have a
thanks
good
for the
one.
invitation. I really sure. So
Where can people find you?
Autumn Poultry. Well, first we're based in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Right.
We play as far east as 30A, as far west as Navarre, and north to Crestview, all in Okaloosa County primarily. But if you want to look at some of our sample stuff, we're on our website is www.theautumnpoultry.us.
Sorry about that.
It's all good.
That's the sound you hear when you hit our website.
Yeah.
Theautumnpoultry.us. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, X, and you can find copies of our schedule and all that stuff in any one of those places. So
Nice.
hope you guys come see us. If you're in the Fort Walton Beach area, we do have a free summer concert, kickoff concert this coming Saturday, 6 to 9 at Suds Cinema.
Man, yeah, I meant to. That was one of my questions as well. It's, yeah.
Yeah. Friday night we'll.
That question that I had all the way in the beginning was, are you guys gonna have the shirts at the concert?
Oh yes, absolutely. We'll have we'll have shirts at the concert. We'll have copies of our CDs as well.
Really cool.
Yeah, so we'll have that. And
It's a 2-in-1.
yeah, that's it. That's exactly right.
Killing 2 spring chickens with one CD.
Friday night we'll be at the Pallet Bar at Eglin on Eglin Parkway in Fort Walton Beach. Saturday, Suds Cinema is that concert, and you know it's a free concert, but you know you got to hit the Eventbrite ticket so we have the right count.
Right.
So you can make a donation or not. It's free. You know,
Yeah.
come in.
I
It's
love how you have that in all caps with the next, like, or not.
well, you know, you don't have to. That's why it's free.
Right.
I mean,
if you
they've
like
got,
it, there's a
they've got-
tip jar.
Oh, I'm telling you, they got ice cold beer, they got wine, they got sandwiches, they got pizza, popcorn. I mean, it's a great theater environment, and just sit back, relax, watch the band, bring your own produce if you want. It's It's all
Right.
right. We're having fun.
That's the great thing about being the drummer, though. I'm in the back, and it has to get past them
Right.
to me.
You've
And
got
then
a
I've
first
got the
line of
cymbals,
defense.
so they're like shields.
Yeah.
And you know, you can't get me.
Always safe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you guys.
Oh, no, thanks again, man. We appreciate that.
Welcome to the Gulf Coast. Welcome to the Gulf Coast. Welcome to the Gulf Coast.